The Van Alstyne Historical Museum, a treasure trove of artifacts from the past and full of the stories that make Van Alstyne, well, Van Alstyne. Lisa Farris is the curator of the museum, so how did this former teacher, principal, and superintendent become a museum curator?
I absolutely love history, but actually it was one of those stories where I really wasn't looking for a job. It was one of those things where it was a voluntold kind of thing, where Teddy Ann, the previous curator, she said, "You've got to go apply for my job." And I said, "What job is that?" And she said, "My job." And I said, "Well, I'm not really looking for a job." She said, "It's only 6 hours a week." And I said, "Oh, I can do that." And so here I am.
Which makes sense, because Lisa's family has its own rich history in Van Alstyne.
My family are the Edwards family. My dad was the former mayor here at one time. And my mom and dad both were on at the beginning of 1973 when they developed the Historical Museum in downtown, not too far from here, but they were part of that. And she kind of guilted me a little bit by saying, your parents would be really proud of you doing these kinds of things because of all the things that they did.
When Lisa was growing up, some of the kids in town were afraid of this house, but not Lisa.
When I was a child growing up, there was a grocery store. The Tillett grocery store was right across the street. And as a child, I would ride my bike to Tillett's grocery, like all kids in this area. And we would always come by the Cartwright House, which is the museum. I have a real hard time calling it the museum because it's the Cartwright House to me. And anybody that's like me and my age, they're going to know it as the Cartwright House. But Mr. Cartwright that lived here, he had a lot of cats. And I'm an animal lover, and when I would see him out or one of his cats out, I would venture over, and sometimes he would let me come in and I would play with his cats or whatever. And so I wasn't afraid of the house. A lot of kids in town were kind of afraid of the house because it's big and spooky, and but I wasn't, and that's why I love being here now. I'm not afraid, even if there might be others here with me. I don't know it,
Right.
So
you haven't seen any evidence.
I haven't seen any instances yet. No.
Right.
The house was actually built in the late 1890s, east of town, about 6 or 7 miles out, and was actually pulled to this location. That was loaded up on logs and pulled into town by mules. We've kind of put about 1902 to 1904, so it's been here that long.
And visitors come from all over to visit.
It's so neat. Even just last Friday on Valentine's Day, I had 3 different couples. I had a lady came from Georgia, and she had put the museum, or Van Alstyne, in her road trip that she had mapped out, and she was headed to somewhere on the other side of Fort Worth, she said. But she was coming from Georgia, and she had family buried here, and we have exchanged emails, and so we're in touch, and I'm trying to find and locate some family members of hers to put her in touch with, and so that's kind of neat. I had another couple that was here. They were from Burleson, and they were attending a wedding out west of town for the weekend, and they decided they would come by. And they stayed a couple of hours. It was wonderful. We had such a great visit.
New residents are coming by as well, which makes Lisa very happy.
With the growth and everything, I have a lot of new people from Van Alstyne that are new residents. It's just amazing, though, and I think the house itself, because it is beautiful. The outside, it attracts a lot of people too.
The Van Alstyne Historical Museum and the City Library work closely together, since they're next door neighbors.
Yes, we work very closely together. We have lots of things planned, in the planning stages. Judy and I have talked several times. My education background and her ability to schedule all these neat things, we're working on getting some things going for kids this summer. We have a big backyard, and it'll be conducive to having some sort of neat events for kids this summer.
So stay tuned.
Yes, stay tuned.
Reporting from the Van Alstyne Historical Museum for the City of Van Alstyne, I'm Mike Shaw.